Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to go over replacing the scraper bar on the 21-inch Ego snowblower, and I will also go over a mod that I did to make it a little easier to use, adding these skids to it. So the biggest flaw I've found with the Ego snowblower, the 21-inch, is the lack of skids in the front. So the bigger models have these skids that they add to the front edge of the machine. The 21-inch doesn't have that, but relies on this scraper bar. That's the definite weak point of this machine. The scraper bar wears out very quickly, and if you're like me and didn't read the owner's manual, you'll keep using it, and when they wear out, the frame of the snowblower will start hitting the ground, and that gets to be pretty annoying. It'll start catching all the edges and getting hard to push. So the videos I've found up to this point have relied on either just skids or wheels. What I came up with here combines both of those, so you have a skid and a wheel. Also, this method doesn't rely on carriage bolts, and instead I've got a bolt and a nut to lock it together, so you don't need to have squared off holes and carriage bolts. So in the video, I'll go over replacing the scraper bar and also how I did the mods with the skids and wheels. Always remove the batteries before doing any work on your machine. So here's a view of my completely trashed scraper bar. Please don't let yours get this bad. Go ahead and remove all the nuts. Here's a view of one of the bolts ground down. That's how bad it was getting. Out with the old. Here's a good view of how ground down that scraper bar was. And in with the new. That's a brand new scraper bar, about $27 at Ace Hardware. You can see the difference. Don't let it get that bad. Comes with a full pack of bolts and nylock nuts. Cleaning up the work area. Make sure you set the bolts, they're basically carriage bolts. Set them properly in the square hole, shiny side in, the grooves on the bottom side. And the cup washers, make sure they face the right way, rounded side up, followed by a nylock nut. Here's a little channel lock persuasion of some bent blades. This shows the tight clearance of the scraper bar, makes it great for clearing smooth surfaces like a deck, but also prone to getting torn up on rough surfaces. This is the kit I got from Amazon. So we got 2 skids with wheels attached. You got an extra pair of wheels with mounting hardware for the wheels, and you've got the mounting hardware for the skids themselves. The mounting holes for the skids are 2 3/4 inches on center. Tools I used for this job: 9/16 wrenches for the 3/8 hardware, 3/8 hardware, nuts, washers, bolts, 5/16 socket for the scraper bar, T20 Torx for the cover plate. Using a spring-loaded punch here made by Husky. It's a really handy tool for marking holes for drilling. Starting with a 1/8 inch bit and then moving on to a 3/8 inch bit, which is a perfect fit for 3/8 machine bolts. Here I'm locking a bolt and nut together. I came back and changed these to 1.5 inch bolts, and I also came back and added Loctite to lock those together. Here I'm using a broken piece of Venetian blind, which came in handy as a spacer. It's a little less than 1/8 of an inch thick. Just wanted to make sure I had clearance for the head of the machine bolt inside there so the pulley wouldn't rub on that. Plenty of clearance. Doing a test fit here of the skid, placing 1 inch diameter washers on first, then the skid, then more washers, and lock it with Kep's nuts. I ended up having to change the spacing by adding washers on the back side. Here I'm drilling out the right side, the driver's right side. I was a little nervous about the back hole on this one. There's not much room to work with there, but it ended up being pretty good amount of meat left. And it's pretty thick steel, so I think it'll be fine. And a little channel lock persuasion on the frame here to get those bolts lined up. If you've made it this far, you're not worried about your warranty. Alright, looking pretty good. Adding Loctite here to the bolts and nuts. I ended up changing all the bolts to 1.5. You can see a 1-inch bolt there. Changed them all to 1.5. They're a little long, but not too bad. They stick out a little bit. Here you can see the alignment was a bit off. That can be adjusted with washers on the back side. I put 3 in the back, 1 in the front on the right side, and 1 in the back and 3 in the front on the operator's left. Now I'm just adjusting both sides with my shim underneath. Super smooth, rolls really nicely, doesn't catch on edges, even better than I expected. And I wish I had gotten this shovel a long time ago. It's the 30-inch snow pusher. You can get it at Home Depot. I'll put a link in the description below. Makes everything a lot quicker and easier. So here's the other really awesome thing about having these wheels is that you can go up and over edges like so without scratching and hitting the edge. And no more worries about scratching my deck.